Hello everyone and welcome to Fifth North. I'm Demir and today I'm at European Cycle Sports here in Plano, Texas. And honestly, I don't know where to start. I am completely overwhelmed here. This is a 2023 Triumph Rocket R version, and what has me feeling a bit overwhelmed here is just the insanity of this thing. The fact that it has a 2.5 liter 3-cylinder engine is just crazy. Yes, you heard that right, 2.5 liters, as in bigger than most 4-cylinder car engines these days. Just wild. So yeah, this is by far the biggest bike I have ever been on, both from an engine standpoint, but also from a physical size standpoint. As you guys probably know by now, I'm more of a sport or naked bike rider. So this being more of a power cruiser or a roadster, it's definitely a different type of machine for me. Alright, let me look back and back it up here. She's definitely a lot longer than I'm used to from a bike standpoint, so I just want to make sure I don't break anything or run into anything before I even get going. So alright, let's take a look and see what this thing's got. Okay, so first of all, shout out to Triumph of North America for allowing me to borrow this Rocket 3 R for the next month or so. Thank you, Adam and team. Shout out to European Cycle Sports here in Plano, Texas. Seriously, if you guys are anywhere near Dallas and looking for a Triumph, a BMW, Ducati, Royal Enfield, any of those bikes, you definitely need to come here, see Cliff or Kevin at European Cycle Sports. Tell them I sent you. They'll take just absolutely great care of you. Struggling today. And last but not least, shout out to my BFF Whitney for giving me a ride here to pick up this monster. So definitely excited to take this thing for a ride. Alright, so first things first, before you ride any bike for the first time, make sure you know where everything is, right? So big shout out to Kevin again. He gave me a full tutorial on this bike, so before giving me the keys, he made sure I knew where all the controls were, how to set up everything, how everything functioned, just to make sure that I was fully comfortable with the bike. The second thing is, if it's my first time riding a bike, especially a powerful one such as this one, I like to start off in rain mode if the bike has modes. Most bikes, if they have a rain mode, the rain mode pulls back some power, acceleration, and it's just a good way to get used to the bike before really opening it up, and it's just kind of an extra layer of safety. Then obviously after the bike warms up a bit, I warm up a bit, we get to know each other better, I'll switch to sport mode or track mode or whatever, more aggressive mode that I want to try out. But anyway, let's discuss some things. So as I mentioned, Whitney dropped me off earlier, and so I bring her up because I want to give a little bit of context to how crazy this thing is. So she has a good knowledge of my ability to ride. She knows that I've ridden quite a few bikes before, and she's also familiar with the overall basics of a motorcycle, right? And one of the first things that she said was, damn, that's a really big bike. And the second thing that she said was, is that the engine? That thing looks huge, right? So I can kind of tell she was nervous for me, and could also see that I was a little bit intimidated, and rightfully so, right? The Rocket 3 has the largest production engine currently available out of any bike at 2,458 cc's. It makes 165 horsepower, which I know that doesn't sound like a ton when you compare it to maybe like a leader bike or like a super sport leader bike, right? Because a lot of those bikes will make 190, 200, but a lot of those bikes make a lot of power, but they don't make any torque, right? And what's crazy about the Rocket 3 is it has 165 horsepower, but it also makes 163 foot-pounds of torque. That's pretty much equal. That's insane, right? The traction control on this bike has to fight just as hard to keep you from going sideways as it does popping a wheelie. In fact, I'd argue the risk of going sideways on this bike is greater because of the amount of torque than it would be from you popping a wheelie. It's a crazy amount of torque for a bike, right? And just to kind of put that in context, the Rocket 3R has a bigger engine and makes roughly the same power figures as my wife's crossover. And the crossover probably weighs what, 4 to 5, 6 times more, right? So that's just wild, right? And speaking of weight, the bike is rather large, but honestly, when you compare it to like full-blown Harleys and other large cruisers, it's really not that heavy. It actually only weighs 641 pounds, which again, for a bike this size and a bike this style, really isn't all that bad. It's a lot of power for a relatively good amount of weight. So first thing I'll say is that in rain mode, and if you are babying it a bit, the Rocket is actually surprisingly quite gentle and comfortable to ride. It's a lot less intimidating than I thought it would be. Honestly, it doesn't really rip your head off right off the bat, which is obviously a good thing, but more on that later. Okay, so far this thing is really comfortable and fun. It honestly reminds me of my cruiser days from back when I had my first bike. The seating position is definitely more cruiser than the bikes that I'm used to, and it's definitely more of a relaxed ride. All right, so my initial thought is that everything about this bike is ridiculous. I mean, it honestly just doesn't make sense. I'm still trying to get my head around the engine size, the power figures, the torque figures. I mean, the fact that the rear tire is a 240 50/16 with a 7.5-inch wide wheel. Again, I mean, these are car numbers we're talking about, right? These are car specs, not motorcycle ones. So when you see it all on paper, it honestly sounds crazy, and it sounds unnecessary. Like, I'm sitting here going like, Triumph, why did you even build this, right? Like, it just seems unnecessary. But I'm gonna be honest with you, even after riding it for only a few minutes, I'm like, damn, I really like this. It's probably too soon to say, but I might even love this, which is crazy considering the fact that this is totally outside of my usual style of bike or preference of bike, right? So what I do want to point out is that I'm kind of unfamiliar with this area and relying on the GPS pretty heavily. So the truth is, this is really the first ride, and my only point with this ride is to get the bike home first and foremost, right? Once I get it there, I'm gonna clean it up, get it fully gassed up, get it fully set up, and really kind of get it going, and then the fun can really begin, right? So we'll do some more thorough testing. I'll review it fully as I start doing some of the longer rides when I'm in a more familiar area. But right, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and throw on some music, put some more miles on this bike, get it home, and then I'll check back in with you guys in the next video. So before I go, friendly reminder, if you like this video and you think the specs on the Rocket 3R are pretty nuts, hit the like button for me. And if you want to be notified of when I release the next Rocket 3R video, keep in mind I'm going to do a whole series around it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that way you know. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.